Hey, everybody, it's Melody here with my beautiful friend, Rachelle Danae Poth, and it's Thrive O'Clock on a Tuesday. We're not going to be live on Friday. We will come back next Monday, but so this is, you got us right now, so you better make it to this 30 minutes or you lose us, okay? So drop whatever you're doing and tune in. We've got an amazing show, and we're going to do some shout outs in a second, but Rachelle, how are you doing?
I am, I'm great. I'm excited to be here. I got to talk to you yesterday and today. So that's a bonus.
Live!
I know. And on Friday as well, there is not in the same location, but it was a good, we had a really good show on Friday with Athea. So if anybody hasn't seen any of our episodes, I mean, pull them up on our YouTube channel and check them out, or check them out in some of the podcasts that I've been downloading, because thank you, Laura Steinbrink, for saying, maybe you ought to think about doing this. And that was a brilliant idea. So I'm good. I'm really good. I'm looking forward to today's show with our guests and just having a great conversation. So
me too. And before we get to our guest, I just want to give a shout out to our good friend and also fellow EduMatch author, Dr. Casey Jakubowski. He just launched his book. It's like a cog in the wheel or some sort like that. But congratulations, Dr. J. Give a shout out to you guys and EduMatch, of course, my family. I did start a new job this week with Spaces Edu. Yes, I'm so excited. I'm like in this crazy, Rachelle, working outside of a school and not for myself. It's like really, really crazy. But it's been a great week. And I think you have some shout outs too.
I do, but I do want to say congratulations to that. And I'm just happy that it's just another way that we get to work together with Spaces. So that's awesome. But my shout outs are going to two women that I met when I was in Nashville the other day, Debbie and Annie, who Debbie, and I'll probably get it wrong. Annie is from California. Debbie is from Oregon. And so I know another person like Tisha Richmond from Oregon. But the reason I'm giving them a shout out is because they were visiting Nashville and looking for places to go. I know how much I love Nashville. And I'm very independent. I like to meet people, but I just thought like, it's so important. Like you see people just to engage in conversation, learn about each other, even like the Uber drivers. Like I had the most interesting experiences in every single one of my Ubers that I rode in. But I like to talk to people and learn about them. And, just giving shout outs to the people that are out there, I don't know, taking risks and trying new things.
Yes.
Or Uber, like the young woman who is working on getting her degree in journalism. And she spent like 3 years doing Uber Eats and now is doing like driving with people and commutes into, the Nashville metro area every day for like an hour to do that work so that she can pursue her education. So I love meeting new people and having new friends, even though those friends weren't from Nashville, but it's nice to talk to people. Again? Debbie and Annie.
Hey, Bonnie.
And
Debbie and Annie.
Yeah.
And your friend that drove around food, but now she drives around
Jacqueline. People. Yeah.
And
Jacqueline. And one more, Eddie, who bought his truck with crypto. That's all I have to say.
Way to go, Eddie. High five to you, crypto. Yes. You are in the future. You are 21st century. Oh my gosh. And I got to give a shout out, to all our friends who are watching. I want to drop a link. Listen, I have been helping put together. I know this is crazy. It's kind of outside of my wheelhouse. Who knew? But I have been helping. We just came out last week. We are having this huge conference in March, the Teacher Goals Connected School Communities. And all of our friends present. Listen, if you present at this if you're chosen to present at this conference, and it's a virtual conference, you will not have to pay. But Jerry Brooks is going to be our keynote. Dr. Sheldon Akins, Jennifer Gonzalez. So many people are presenting. We've got comedians. So I just want to all of my friends who present, please. It would be amazing if you would apply to this, and maybe I'll pick you. I'm just joking. I don't think I'm on the picking committee, but I will say something good for you. All right. Enough of that. All of the shout outs are amazing. Oh my goodness. Thank you. Congrats on the Spaces. Thank you, Bonnie. Thanks for girl. I love you.
Have heart.
Yes, we have an amazing guest. He promised that he would not make me cry because I said we want to play a game at the end and we can't get too serious or nobody wants to play games. And he's an author, he's an educator. Tell us some other good things about him, Rachelle.
Yeah, so I have his book right here, and I'm a big fan of quotes, so we can bring him on up. I'm a big fan of quotes, and when I read the book, a lot of what I took down were a bunch of the quotes, and I even took pictures of them, and I have some of them still on my phone because they were just so powerful. And I love the ideas that obviously that you shared in the book. Love joining in your chat on Monday nights and guest moderating occasionally too. It's just it's a community. Like, you've created this community, which is what we're about here. And so I'm just happy. There's the high five. I'm just happy. We're happy to have you join us today and hear about your experience and your ideas and how we can empower students to take the lead, because I didn't know that for a long time, like that was a thing that we should be doing that and why it matters. So welcome, Paul.
Well, thank you
Welcome,
both.
Paul.
Thank you both for having me. This is exciting to be here with you. And Rachelle, thank you so much for the times that you've hosted LearnLab, because you've done a great job, brought in new people to the PLN, and we do feel kind of like a family. We share a lot of ideas. We definitely push each other. Yeah, there's the high five. Oh, I don't know. Are you? Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. Anyway, so thank you for that. So when I think about, the reasons for the book and my style of teaching and the idea of empowering students, it really all comes back down to when I first started in teaching. I was fresh out of college. I probably wasn't the most talented teacher, to leave college. And
No.
yeah, I don't know. I don't think I knew what I was doing. I never wanted to be a teacher growing up as a kid. I was a kid who wanted to get out of school, like most boys, at least, like, why would you want to go back to school? But, I decided that I needed help in the classroom, and I wasn't going to be able to do it by myself. Our special ed teacher pushed in for the reading block, which was great. But the rest of the day I was by myself with 29, kids that expected me to show them the way in 5th grade. And I said, you know what, it's time to tell you guys I need your help. I don't want to do it all myself, and I don't think I should have to. We can work as a team on this. So, and that probably went back to my parenting, my parents' parenting of me, very Montessori style of, go make your mistakes, go do it without question, and then we'll give feedback afterwards, and we'll talk about it later. So my classroom quickly became a classroom of everybody working together and pitching in. And, we quickly had to focus on, so many people said in the earlier grades, mind your own business, don't worry about other kids. And I quickly said, we have to mind about each other, but we can't be looking to get each other in trouble. We can't be snitching on people. We're looking about helping each other, and don't worry about grades. If you helped him, how are we going to get a good grade on this? Don't worry about that. I'll just save the assessments where we won't help each other. But the rest of the day, we need to help each other, because we're going to lift each other up and we're going to carry each other to the top of the mountain. And that just grew and grew and grew for 20 years of teaching. Snitches get stitches, Melody. That's right. anyways, so that's the basic background. That's the beginning of how I started to empower my students. And then it's really just about a story of, what are the specifics and how do you do that? And what are things that have gone too far? And what are some tips and what are some tricks? And how do you get the kids to buy in? How do you get the parents to buy in? And it's all part of that 20-year process of starting small and growing. Right. I don't know if I could expand on that, but I'm sure you have other questions that we could talk about.
Do you have to be a pirate?
Army to you do. No, I think it's a great gimmick, the pirate thing. It's my acronym. It stands for certain things. The P is for peer collaboration. I'm sorry, I'm cheating. The I is improvement focused learning. What?
We won't snitch.
No, you don't want to stitch. Peer collaboration, improvement focused learning, responsibility, active learning, 21st century skills and empowerment. And to me, it was a way of organizing the book to use that acronym, but it really captured, I brainstormed words and phrases for each of those letters, and those really captured the 6 most important components of what I think of as our student-led classroom. You don't have, the students don't make up every decision in the world. I still plan out the curriculum and teach a lot of the instruction, basically all of it. But they do actually teach lessons in our classroom as well. But it's not like you think. It's more like, hey, I just figured out how to do this. Who wants to learn? Come over here and I'll show you. And then they just show each other. But you got to teach them how to collaborate. How you so that's the first part of my book, is that collaboration. If you can't get kids to work together and see each other as equals, and each other has valuable traits that you can use for each other and want to be able to work together on, it's not going to work. It's so much of our classrooms these days is we have to sit separately and we have to work alone. And my classroom, like before COVID, was all about clusters, people just working together. Everybody was partnered up, but partners could work with partners, and and they just needed to check in and get feedback, and that collaboration piece is just so huge. And then I'll stop after the second one, but improvement focused learning, we weren't about grades in our classroom. I still had to give a report card, and towards the last couple of years before I retired, it was a standards based report card. But for many of those years, it was a regular A, B, C, D, F grade report card. So I had to give grades, but I did it much more holistically, and I broke down those grades and said, you're struggling in these areas, but you're strong in these areas, and here's how we're working on helping you, and here's what you need to do more on your own. And I could put that in each person's report card, so my parents would never be surprised about a lower grade or a higher grade. They knew what they were struggling on, and they agreed that their kid probably struggles with that kind of thing, and that we're working on it in class. And then when we talked to conferences, parents were like, my kid, the grade doesn't really matter. It's just the fact that you're addressing their weaknesses and you're pushing them to be stronger students, and they love coming to class. Most kids, I'm sure there's exceptions, but most of my kids really enjoyed school. And to me, that's what it's about, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for the high five. That's good. Yeah.
I love that. We were talking before. Okay, now I have the feedback.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll come back. I'm leaving for a minute.
Okay, so I just kicked Melody out.
With the acronym, or no? I don't want to.
No, it was I told her there's a big echo.
Okay.
And so she removed herself.
Oh, I see your note now. Yeah.
Yeah, but I still hear it. So it could be me.
Is it me? Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want me to come out and come back in? You'll be by yourself.
Everybody out.
You could do a one-man show, a one-woman show.
I know. I don't think I'd be that interesting for anybody watching right now. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's on my end.
It could be mine. I don't mind going out. I just feel bad for everybody watching. I'm sorry that we're getting feedback. I don't hear it, so it might be me.
Yeah, I don't know. And Mel is just waiting.
Listen, I was trying to put my AirPods in, but it's not me.
Do you still hear the feedback or the echo? Okay, let me leave and come back too. Will you let me back in?
We will let you back in.
Two people watching will be like, going.
There's more than that watching. I didn't want. It just got worse a second ago for some reason.
Paul, it's you, because now
it's okay, Paul.
Come back, Paul.
Paul will be back, and it might just be. Well, you know what? That happened at during a webinar. Well, actually, a webinar, and then my class that I'm taking. We were doing these fireside chats, and we kept thinking that it was the other students in the class. And it was one of them. So the professor kept saying, okay, whenever, and we were all, the rest of us were muted. And then he said, okay, whenever you're not talking, everybody just mute, then just don't forget to unmute. Of course, everybody's like starting to talk, forgetting to unmute. But that was the problem. It was like a very tinny kind of a thing. And surprisingly, it wasn't me because I was already on mute. But no, Paul, I was going to, say to you, like when I was reading your book, you have, like I said, there's like quotes, you have the start of the chapter, then you have these things that are in between them. But the one, and I pulled this out today because this is something that really resonates with me. It did, but even so last week, and it's in the chapter on peer collaboration, but it's students lead when they believe the teacher would appreciate their help, not when the teacher is completely in charge. And I love that because last week I went to a conference in Tennessee, and my students are so good. Like I try to give them something, like if they're working on a project or like project-based learning, Genius Hour, where they're very independent, or I give them some structure. But this time in my Spanish 2 and my Spanish 3 classes, like I said, look, this is what I'm thinking of having you do. while I'm away, and I want to make sure that, one, it's manageable for your time, but I also want to give you some opportunities to explore something on your own. So I had them with a reader, and then there was this using formative, a lesson, because I wanted to see where they were with the verbs. And then the third thing, I was like, I want you to play a game, but I want you to pick whatever the game is. If you want to make up your own game, if you want to use one of the GIM kits, Blue kits, I said, but somebody's going to need to be the teacher. And so they were like, yeah, we can do that, but could we do that this way? And then when they did the reading, I got the notes from the sub, and they were like, your class was wonderful. They popcorned the reading, and they were just so enjoyable. And they, like, I didn't have to worry about doing anything. But before, I would always say, like, you have to do this, and it has to be done in this order. But giving them that kind of ownership and decision making, like, what a difference that makes. But it's so uncomfortable because as teachers, I mean, for many of us have been in education for a long time, you taught, you stood at the front of the room, you made all the decisions, and repeat the next day. So I do appreciate all that you have to offer about the, well, in the whole book, but particularly like the peer collaboration and even teacher to student collaboration.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and one of those things is, every group of students is different based on the task you're letting them work on. So, sometimes my students did want more specific. Oh, number one.
Way to go, Paul. You're number one.
Thanks. I have to be able to read it. It says "Go Team" or something like that on the back side. Yeah, nice. Thanks. It depends. So sometimes my 4th or 5th graders really wanted to know specifics about what they needed to do. And so I would start them off with that, but then they'd go and do their own thing anyways, and it would always turn out. But every group of kids, it just depends. Do they want the freedom, the long leash? Do they want, a little guidance first? But either way, just letting them know that whatever they do is going to be fine. I'm going to give you feedback on what could be improved and what you did well anyways at the end. So it's always good.
Yeah. But, your kids really know that you know them, and that's really just so cool. And the parents know that you know their kids and that you're doing everything in their best interests. And also, kudos to you, especially Rachelle, having a class that a substitute teacher was like, this class was awesome. That's amazing. That's what inspired me. This is like Go Team right now. I'm just a cheerleader. Paul's putting it in the book. Rochelle, other way. Rochelle's putting it. This is tricky, y'all. Rochelle's putting it in action. I mean, hello. So here we go. And somebody has something to say. Yes, stay a while. For real, Marita. Yeah.
One of those quotes from the substitutes that they didn't need me there that day is always one of those fun ones. Like, your kids didn't need me. I don't know why I was there. I love that quote, When
I was I substituted for almost a whole semester after graduation. And the only time I experienced that was with a kindergarten class. I never experienced that with older students,
Wow.
Because students lose that love of, they just, the way that school is, it gets, especially by 4th and 5th grade, and the higher you go, they're like, whatever, but the little ones, that's really cool.
Yeah, those kindergartners kind of do whatever they want, and you have to, in our school system, untrain them to be thinkers, which is unfortunate, obviously, but they get untrained to be thinkers, and then I'm retraining them. But it's that whole thing, like, I get it. I'm not saying we're teaching it wrong. I'm just saying when they get to me in 5th grade, this is what I need. So I retrain them and say, this is what I want. Now in 6th grade and middle school, it might look different again, but now you will have had both experiences and you need to listen to what your teacher wants, whatever it is. You can easily go back to a more passive learning style. Not that all middle school teachers are like that, because they're not, but it would be easy for you to do. So, it's not like we're ruining them forever,
Wow. And some kindergarten classes are amazing. The one that I'm thinking of was amazing. And sometimes, I hear older students are like, I want to feel like I'm in kindergarten again.
Oh, yeah.
It's just it's so much fun. Learning is still
Eating
really amazing.
Throwing things at your friends. Yeah.
But some are not that way. I've had some, anyway, are we getting close to the game time? I want to laugh. Who's ready for a laugh? No, we're not.
Are we close to the game time already? I was going
10
to.
minutes, but I'm going to play. I don't want to be
I know.
like.
Okay, but I want to ask Paul a question. A couple questions. So here's my question for you, because this is, and Mel's just going to laugh at me. It's all good. I can't wait to download this as like a podcast and be like, what is going on? for me, like I was mentioning, like we come out of school, for many of us, not so much now, because the teacher prep programs now are so different. I mean, you got the technology, they're helping, students are building, service teachers building ways to, like, how do you connect with students, especially in this last year and a half. If you have been in a pre-service or a teacher prep program, you have had, I mean, I don't know if it's good or bad to say you've had it made, but made in the sense that you could see like all of these possible things that could technically like go wrong. Like, oh, I'm ready to teach in a classroom, but I'm not going to be there. We're not going to be in person. How do I meet? How do I build relationships? How do I do, use packets if I want to use packets or whatever materials are? But for me, for years, I was teaching the way I've been taught because that worked for me and I was familiar with that. And the first step that I took out of that was like, I told Catlin Tucker this a year and a half ago, got rid of the rows of desks in my room, started to use stations, had no idea. I did a presentation last week. I like tell the same story. I'm like, it was a disaster. I was not in the front of the room. Sometimes people will come in and look for me, or I was so nervous, like it's too loud or the kids are on the floor. And I think once you get past that, okay, like learning is social, it can be chaotic, it is a little bit messy, you see the benefits. But this is a long question. Here's the question. So if there are, because there are teachers out there that are either just starting or they're starting to see these changes, or they're watching now, or they're reading your book and thinking like, I don't know if I can do that. There's so much to it. Like, what advice could you offer somebody that might just be enough to give them that that extra little push to dive into something like this, where the kids do have more of a leadership position or, taking more risks?
Yeah, it's a good question. You'll understand why I'm prefacing this first. On my website, learnlikeapirate.com, there's an FAQ tab, frequently asked questions tab. And that's one of the most common questions that I've gotten over the years, is basically like, how do I start? This is not my kind of thing. I'm not good at all these kinds of worries and concerns. So on that frequently asked questions, though, just so you know, there's about 150 questions. And I'd say at least half of them, maybe more than half, were answered by my students on video. So you can actually see the kids' answers to your questions too. If you ever wanted to see, I didn't prepare them at all. I just read the question out loud, and while we were working, kids who volunteered they went up and recorded their answer and sat down. So they're unedited. But regardless, I'll go back to the question at hand though. Honestly, it's probably not in the personality of most of us who are natural teachers. Again, I'm not a natural teacher. I think natural teachers are really good at organization and control, and like I've got everything structured, and I have actually a lot of that in me. So my classroom actually is extremely structured, but the fact of the matter is it's extremely structured so that the students know what they need to work within the structures of that classroom. But I have this understanding that we're not going to always be doing the things that I thought we were doing exactly at the time we're doing it in the way that we're doing it. And I think just understanding that half the time it's going to be better than you could have imagined anyways, because they have some really cool ideas or ways of doing it. And it might work even better for kids who wouldn't have learned it as well your way. And half the time it might be a complete disaster. But a lot of times, if it's going to be this complete disaster, the kids learn how to fix the disaster before it becomes more than a typical disaster you would have if the kids didn't know how to fix it. So in our classroom, there's a lot of prep that goes in. We have to teach them how to take charge and how to make decisions independently of asking the teacher. In our room, you can do everything you want except leave the room without permission. I need to know where you are at all times. So only leaving the room is the only requirement. Not to do things that are against the law or against the school rules, but in our classroom, it's just you need to make your own choices, and you need to handle any consequences that come from them. I will always give you reinforcing consequences or reinforcing feedback if you did something wrong, but I will almost always preface it with, thank you for making the choice on your own. I just want you to know, though, that the way you should have done it was perhaps something more like this, or I wish you hadn't said that in such a mean way to your friend, but right. Thank you for not just, shutting down and doing nothing, right? Mm-hmm. I know they can get over it. So in general, though, we're always trying to give feedback, but mm-hmm. It's going to go in these different directions. And the whole point of all of that is when they leave our classroom at the end of the year, they will have had a year of practice of making decisions on their own instead of relying on adults to decide everything for them. And I'm telling you, when I first started 20 years ago, every kid that came into my room hadn't had to think for themselves. They had their parents thinking for themselves at home. They had their teachers thinking for themselves at school. And I still see it today in a lot of things, spoon feeding everywhere. I see it all the time. But in our classroom, it didn't go. It didn't float. As soon as somebody looked for spoon feeding, I said, I'm not spoon feeding you. If you're going to struggle, you're going to struggle. I'm definitely going to help you. I love to teach. I love to support, but I'm not going to make decisions for you. I'm not going to think for you. You have to do that on your own. They all left being ready to do that. The kids who were introverted or shy still left becoming stronger leaders that were passive leaders. All different kinds of things that they were able to transfer to middle school because of the immersion in a room that expected them to think for themselves.
Right. Boom. No. Yeah, that was total mic drop on all of that.
And like Bonnie has her thing out, like.
Oh yeah. Oh, I see that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. It's frustrating, but I love it. Go ahead. I'm sorry. What were you going to say, Rachelle?
I was going to say, well, thank you, Paul, for that answer, and game on.
All right.
We will dive into the game.
All right, Bonnie, make sure, and whoever of the 3 other people watching, make sure that you join in, okay?
There's at least 3 of us watching right here on the screen. I see it.
Yeah.
You gotta count that.
It'd be like 4 people viewed my video on YouTube, and my little Lizzie, she's like, yeah, 5 people loved it. And that's big news for them. So for how many people are watching, thank you, and please join us. First, this or that. Would you rather have a spoon or a fork?
Well, a fork, because I don't want you to spoon feed me, I guess, right?
Oh, good answer.
Random thought. I don't know.
Oh, Marianne, of course. You are always watching, Marianne. Thank you. Marianne,
no.
would you rather have a spoon or a fork?
We're up to high single digits.
I'm going with a spoon. It universally works for anything, because last night, what did I eat for dinner? I had chicken with some couscous and some carrots, and you can't pick up that fork; it just rolls off. So I just used a big spoon. And I cut the chicken without a knife. My mom would be like, "Yep, that's predictable," because she's ever since a kid I've never used a knife. So it was the big spoon.
I hardly ever use a knife still. I just try to use my fork for everything. So I guess I'm a fork.
Yeah.
You guys have the right answer. I just thought the first one that came to mind.
So what about street smarts or book smarts?
Oh.
Well, that's great. I mean, street smarts seems to come in way more handy in everything that I live my life to be. So everything that I read in the book seemed to be wrong. I definitely didn't teach the way I was taught in college. I definitely don't live my life retiring at 43 the way they tell you to do it, you do what you got to do in life, street smarts, figure it out. You'll get further. It'll be better.
Yeah, I'm going street smarts because I feel like I'm more beneficial to other people in that way. And I'm interpreting book smarts to mean that I can just name books and authors. So I know that's not what that means, but that's what I took it to mean. So I'm going street smarts.
I'm just going to go for a book smart for all the dumb people out there.
Oh, Melody.
Just joking. Totally joking. Okay. It's a good combination to have both, honestly. And I think while my mom would have told me that I only had book smart, she would tell me I had no common sense. So I do feel for all the people that feel like they don't. I have some street smarts now just because I'm not a good driver. Okay. What about, I'm a terrible driver. Like, let it be known you do not want to get in a car with me. Pep talk or motivational quote?
I don't even have to answer this one. I mean, my first book is about quotes.
I know what hers is. I feel like I respond better to a pep talk. I think I actually like to hear the long answer about things. I like to know all the where's, why's, buts, becauses, and things, so that I can understand where they're coming from, but then make my own opinion. Whereas a quote, I feel like you interpret it, but it can be interpreted so many ways that I think I just interpret it automatically the way that I would already have thought. So I didn't necessarily learn anything from the quote. I just reinforced something that I already knew. That's my thought.
I like that. Bonnie says motivational quote.
I think I like I think I like quotes. I think I'm just a quote person. I like quotes, but I get you about the pep talk. I like pep talks that give me goosebumps, like Ted Lasso. You know, love this.
Yeah.
Okay. Free lunch or free dessert?
Oh, that's a sad topic. I just got diagnosed diabetic. It's my
No.
dessert is sugar free. I'm taking care of it. I'm not on any meds. I'm doing it great, and my numbers are already perfect. But it's
Good for
because I'm
you.
taking care of it. So free lunch. It's going to be no carbs, no sugars, no pasta, no breads, no. It's going to be boring. So yeah. 3 months ago, boy, I would have said, I'll pay for both. Just give me them both. But, now it's basically whatever they'll give me.
Yeah.
Good for you. That you
there's no such thing as a free lunch. That's one thing that I remember from my high school economics teacher. It echoes in my head. He's like, there's no such thing as a free lunch. I was like, but if they gave it to me, then he went through the whole cost analysis. I was like, you've ruined my free lunch that I've just gotten. But if it were truly free, I think I would probably I'd probably take the lunch. I do.
They say girls just want to have lunch. There's a whole song about it. So I'm just saying.
Girls want to have fun. It was a great movie too. So
yeah, but Weird Al made a song. Girls just want to have lunch. I remember because it really resonated with me. Okay. Okay, and maybe this is where I could go on forever, but tell me if you want to keep going or if you're like done. And I love Bonnie's answer. Always coming back to the spoon, Bonnie. You're awesome. Messy desk or clean desk?
So I am a messy desk person because I like my piles. I know where everything is. But a clean desk just means I have to go find where I put the pile. It's probably in a drawer. Now I've lost my piles. So right now, because I'm on camera, I've cleaned up my desk. Huh?
That is the best quote. I got to write that down.
I don't want to have to find my piles.
I'm going to make that a thing. Okay, wait. Say that again. A clean desk just means
that I have to go find my piles, probably in a drawer somewhere. I don't know. I mean, depends how big the piles got, but they could be in closets at that point,
Yeah. Mine's, I do have high hopes for organizing some things, but I'm like you, I know where everything is. There's piles, even at school, there's crisscross piles. And this last week, they put in the Promethean board in my room and they moved all everything. So all of my piles where I did know where everything was were all gone. So the students on Monday were like, hey, do you have an extra one of those papers? I'm like, I did. It was in this pile over here. And then, well, it's not there now. So if it's clean, it's not staying clean for very long. So
that's true. And I only did it a few times a year. Parent conferences was one of those. Okay. Oh, wow. We're getting here. Woo! She takes after her dad. Did you see how fast Rachelle took that off the screen?
No, it was an accident. I was trying to show it. I was trying to click and show it, but you and I clicked it at the same time.
No.
We're clickers. Okay. Can I ask another one or do you want me to shut up?
I would never want you to shut up.
I'm having fun regardless of how many people are watching.
Me too. I am having so much fun. I'm living for this. Are you a visual learner or a verbal learner?
Yeah. I really think I straddle the line on that one. I know this or that you're supposed to choose, but taking those inventories, you kind of learn. I really need both. I mean, when a teacher lectures, it's not really getting into my head. But if you literally just showed me a slideshow, I'd probably gloss over and daydream. So I really think I need both of them in order to learn.
Yeah, I'm more visual, I think. I mean, I just remember things, but I'll probably pick visual.
All right. I have to be honest. I love lectures and I don't have to look at anything. If I hear it and I write it down, I'm done. I remember it. But that's when education is memorization. And I grew up and education was memorization and I can memorize. So boom. I don't know. Bonnie
and I never got that memorization trait. And that's probably why I avoid making my kids memorize so much stuff. Because I was the worst. In college, I did great at biology 101, but then 201 and 301 or whatever they were, I struggled because I couldn't remember all the genus and phylum and but I love biology. I could explain how it all works really well, but I just couldn't memorize it all. And I guess that's why I teach the way I teach, right?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And I could remember it and then dump it out completely afterwards so that I could stuff it with more crap. Okay, we will end it with this one because I mean I can keep going, but I feel like I need to respect everybody, and I want to do that. So with this, we'll end it on this one: emails or conversations.
Well, I guess it depends what your end goal is. Emails are the easy way out, and any kind of messy conversations. It's nice to get an email to kind of get out of it, but if it's important, it's probably got to be a conversation. But I'll say emails are the easy way out of things, so I would lean on those. I don't know what else. What else? Rachelle?
Yeah, I like email, and I guess that's because I get like 300 a day or something, and I'm constantly responding to them. But for certain things like email, it's just you don't need to have a full conversation. Like for my class that I'm taking right now, the option was a phone call, a Zoom, or it could be something, it's about a final project through email. And so when I asked the question, my teacher said, I think this is something we can just go back and forth through email. And that worked. But I do appreciate real conversations with people as well. So like this, I mean, being able to interact, people like send messages in the comments and being on screen or wherever, but sometimes email, I like Bonnie's. Yeah. Or text message, you're texting and you're like, I'm just going to call. And then they don't answer. You're like, I know you're there because you were just texting me. But yeah, just because I'm talking to you through text doesn't mean that I actually want to engage in a verbal conversation right now. So.
Very true.
Yeah. I just want to I don't want to email or talk with you unless you're going to do something that I want to talk about or email about.
It's about me.
Very selective.
My desk is messy, but my email inbox is ridiculous. Talk about piles.
I hear you.
Yes. Well, Paul, it was so great that you were with us today. Thank you for the laughs. And I mean, I really needed just a fun conversation. So I appreciate that you came, and congratulations on your book. It's had 7 birthdays. Is that what you said?
I think it's about 7 years old. It was March of 2020ing. So I guess you'll have to do the math for me. Yes, 6 or 7.
6. Yeah, 6 if we're going to do the math.
Another 3 months,
reading math.
Right. Did you want me to subtract 21 minus 15? Really? Oh, yeah.
Just joking. Marianne and Bonnie and the 2 other people watching, thank you so much. Yeah, Bonnie, you would. Thank you guys for watching and tuning in with us. It was so much fun. Does anybody have any last words before we say goodbye?
Just have a great week and make time for yourself. I took a nap when I came home. Every day I'm taking a nap, so that's my self-care.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Yeah.
And thank you guys though for having me. This was a lot of fun. This is the kind of conversation you can email for sure, right?
One more high five.
Absolutely. Right.
Other side, bam. This is tricky.
Oh wait, I always do it the wrong way.
You're up there, so
I gotta go like this.
High fives everywhere.
I'm raising the roof.
Raising the roof.
See you guys on Monday. Take time to laugh. All right. If you're not laughing, then go have a drink or something if you need it. Whatever. Take care of you.
Makes you
See you guys on Monday. Bye.